Hey guys, so this video I am very excited to make. I actually was not going to make it until next week, but I desperately needed a little reading break, so I wanted to get started. I am going to experiment with using Winsor and Newton Winton oil color on Reborns. And I'm really excited. I've seen a few artists using this lately, and so it is making a comeback. Okay, but for those that are newer, when Reborning first started, before Genesis was invented, um, people used artist oil colors, just regular oil paint. At that time, they were letting them air dry, so it was a major pain in the butt because they would need to let these babies cure for months before they could sell them. However, oil paints can actually be forced cured with heat. When I first started using heat set paint, I was not as educated as I should be about paint types and exactly what's in them and all this other stuff. So I got Genesis heat set paint, and I also got Winsor and Newton. I did not use this particular line. I used their artist oils, and I would mix them exactly like my Genesis. I would bake them at 265 for 9 minutes. I would mix them with my Genesis paint. I had no issues at all. I really enjoyed using them. I liked how they worked. The artist oils are more expensive. The artist oil sets are almost $100. This Winton oil color line, this one was like $30 for this whole set. But I will say the only reason that I stopped using them, I had no problems. Like I said, nothing was wrong with it. They cured fine. They were easy to work with. They were cheap. They were great. But the only reason I stopped using them, was because a couple of other artists told me, you can't use those. We don't use those anymore. Genesis can only be heat cured, and basically they talked me out of using something that I had been using for well over a year that was working well with me, for me, and that I really liked using, because I got afraid and thought, oh no, we don't use this anymore. We only use Genesis, so that's what I'm using. And that is a little cautionary tale about other people's opinions. It is great to get feedback on how products work for other people, including my own. But if you ever have something that is working well for you, if you've tested it on a baby, you've let it sit for over 6 months, you know that it's durable, you know it doesn't have issues, and you like the way it works, don't let somebody else's opinion on that product sway you from using what you like and what works well for you. I used to fall prey to that a lot. I really, really wanted to get great at painting, so I listened to artists that I respected, and sometimes I listened to them a little bit too much. I wasn't, when I first started, I was fearful of experimenting with products. Now I'm not. Now I can treat every baby like an experiment. I mean, I try all kinds of crazy things, and that is how you evolve as an artist. So don't be afraid to experiment. If other people aren't using something, don't be afraid to give it a try. Worst case scenario, it's not going to work. That's what test parts are for. Okay, so these are the colors that I got with my set. They are pretty much the same colors that I used to have with my artist oils line, it looks like. And I have here this little Canon test head, and so I'm just going to be doing a few things on him. First, let's see how it mixes up. I just put a little bit of thinner in there like normal. I really love this color here, magenta. I actually thought this was a different color, a red wine type color, but it's not. So I guess they're not exactly the same as my old set. The colors are a little bit different. So you just put a little color on your brush. You can also just put these in pet jars if you want. And I missed my well with the thinner in it. You can see it dissolves instantly in thinner, exactly the same as Genesis would. I don't see any weird grains or anything like that at all. It looks very, very nice. I'm just gonna use it dark like this really quick. We will do a little layer here on Canon's lips, just like we would with Genesis. Let me get a different little brush here. I'm just gonna pounce that out. You can tell I mixed that color pretty dark, but it looks nice. It blends well. And I'm going to be doing my little tests darker than I would actually paint with, because I do want you guys to be able to see. These are an oil-based product, so I'm not worried about using them on the same sponges. But I'm just going to use this one that I don't use very often because it has really large holes. So I'm just going to brush that on here. And we'll do some pronounced modeling there on the cheek for test purposes. Now I am going to experiment just a little bit more. I have some of my Genesis thinning medium here. I'm just going to mix this up. We'll put some thinning medium in here. I want to put enough so that you guys can see it in my well. And let's get another color. We'll try blue. I'll use this little well here for cleaning my brushes. When I used these, what I actually used to do, I would not keep them in these tubes. I would use these pet safe jars, not pet like your animal, but polyethylene, I cannot remember, but they are safe to put Genesis and other oil products in, and it won't eat through the glass. They won't leach, the oils won't leach, and I don't know if you guys have ever had that problem. If you get paint or something in the wrong type of jar, you'll have it like sitting on your table and you'll go to pick it up and it's like stuck to it, where the oils have actually leached through the plastic and made the whole jar sticky and gross. I get these pet jars at Dolls by Sandy. You can get these. They are fairly cheap. They are, I think I got 10 for like $4, $5, something like that. It was cheap though. But when I used oils all the time, I would just put them in these little jars, just because it's easier to get, because you need such a small amount than like touching the edge of that. Okay, but you can see here with our thinning medium, it has mixed right in, no problems at all. Let's just do some of this here on the eyes. This baby is gonna look so insane. It's gonna be like a little clown baby. I'll just do kind of my, let's use it for some undertone type stuff here. I'm trying to leave it a little bit dark, but you could see it blends totally fine. Now let's do another little test here. Let's just put a few drops of thinner I have my Genesis red paint here. And I'm just going to mix some of that into my thinner. Let me do a dark one because I am going to bake this and show you guys the results. So I want to make sure you could see it well on camera. And let's just take a little bit of blue here. Whoops, that was a lot of blue. A little bit goes a very long way. You can see I made kind of a purple here. I have some blue stuck on my brush there. Okay, there you go. I made a dark purple type color there. And let's model this one on. We'll do this one here on the other cheek. This is the worst painting I've ever done. It's pretty funny. I'm kind of curious to see where this baby is going to go. And I'm just going to add one more little drop of thinner in that. And let's see, do I have a burnt umber? This is not an umber, but it's a dark brown. So let's just use a little bit of this in here. That actually makes a really nice color. And let's do just a little bit of darker creasing here. And we'll blot off that excess. I am going to take this magenta here and let's add just a little bit of red into that mix. I'm going to do this kind of like a little blush on the forehead layer there, so that we can see if there is any peeling or cracking or anything weird. There we go. That should be bright enough for this clown baby. And you can see on the edges, I can blend that really nicely if I want to. I'm going to leave it for this test dark like that in the center, but you can definitely blend it well. All right, let's pop this baby in the oven. So while Cannon's head is baking, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about these paints and heat curing them. You can heat cure pretty much any oil paint. You can have problems if you apply it thicker. If you are applying it like our normal super thin layers where it is mostly all thinner with just a little touch of pigment there, you are not going to run into curing problems like you would if you were using this paint straight. The baking instructions are exactly the same as Genesis, like I said before, 265 degrees Fahrenheit at 9 minutes. I did use regular oil paints for well over a year, and I had no problems at all with paint rubs or anything like that. You can varnish over it with all of your regular heat set varnishes that you would use like you would over Genesis. You can mix it with your Genesis mediums and paints. So if you only have a little bit of Genesis left, this would be a really great way to help stretch those out. This would also be a really good option. I get a lot of emails. I'll say this would be a good replacement option, but let me just follow that up really quick. I get a lot of emails from brand new artists who have found me and they don't have any supplies yet. And obviously they can't get Genesis. All of my videos are with Genesis. I personally have a good stock of Genesis where I won't run out anytime soon. So I'm not really worried about there not being Genesis besides the varnishes. But I forget about that with new people coming in right now. I feel terrible for you because you're coming in at the absolute worst time for Reborn painting. Like right when the absolute best product goes off of the market and everything is kind of hard to get. There are new ones and, you know, people are still learning with those. I have tried almost all of the new brands of heat set paint. I have not found a paint line yet that I am happy with for an alternative. So I'm always, you know, really tentative. Yeah, I don't want to suggest something to somebody that doesn't work well for me when they ask me what they can use instead of Genesis. So I think this, if you are just dipping your toe in and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on a brand new paint line and then discover that you don't like that line and have to do it over and over again, I would definitely recommend getting one of these sets and just giving it a try, at least until there is more information about other types of paint. I do have some exciting things in the works for you guys. I am going to be testing Phoenix again. For those that probably, if you've been here a while, maybe you saw my original Phoenix test. I actually took that video down. And I'm going to be making a new one. When I first tested Phoenix, it turned out that these jars that we were just talking about, the pet jars, they were not in these pet jars. They were in regular plastic jars. So when I got my products and tested them, they were incredibly like sticky and stretchy. Like I put my paintbrush in and stretched it, you know, all the way up with my arm fully extended and there's a string going down. They would not dissolve in thinner at all. And I think I stirred it for a good 90 seconds and it would just move around in the bottom. It would not dissolve. It was almost like a piece of like plastic or something. So at that time I was like, this stuff sucks. I would never ever use this and I don't know who would. However, Lucy did fix that issue. They do have their like final finished product and she is just starting to sell that again. They just reopened their Etsy store. So I did get a set. I'm going to be testing that for you guys with her final new product. I also have a ton of product from Alva and Go on the way. And I have tested other brands as well. So I am planning on making a more comprehensive video for you guys and hopefully be able to give you a couple of good other heat set paint lines that worked well for me and that I personally feel comfortable recommending, that I don't think you guys are going to have issues with. But like I said, that is still in the works. So I've been kind of hesitating on giving out like actual advice on what to buy for people. I've been telling most people to that they could get a set of oil paint, that they could just get a very small starter set or a couple colors of these other brands to try. So I'm really excited to be able to tell you guys that these do work, and I love them. I haven't talked about them at all on my channel, and honestly I had forgotten all about them until a couple months ago when I started seeing some artists use them, and I was so excited. I'm like, they're not Reborn specific, but they're you know, an oil-based product that you can force cure with heat. They are super concentrated, and I mean, you could never get all of these colors for $35 from a Reborn specific paint line. But I am hoping over the next few weeks, as I do more testing, that I'll be able to put a video out giving you guys a couple other Reborn specific heat set brands that I would recommend. All right, I will be back as soon as Canon's head is cold. All right, guys, so Canon is cool now, and it is definitely bright. Genesis does lighten up a little bit when you bake it. These do not seem to lighten up very much. They seem to be about the same, so that would be one thing to consider. I'm just gonna put a little thinner in this well here. Absolutely no color comes off. Again, no color comes off. I'll do the same thing here with my Q-tip. No color comes off. So once you bake this, it is set. It cures 100%. You can see from the application process, it is exactly the same. The way that you mix it with odorless mineral spirits the exact same way as Genesis. And because it is oil-based, it's also compatible with your other oil-based heat set mediums. You can varnish over this with a heat set varnish. No problem. Maybe I'll do that actually for you guys really quick so you can see. I do know from my previous experience using it that I did used to varnish over it without any issues, and I just used Genesis varnish. I don't want to waste my Genesis matte varnish, so I'm going to use my Genesis satin, which I have a ton of. And I'm not going to use a lot of it, but I will just varnish right here over this big spot on the head here. Try to do a little textured area here. Alright guys, I'm going to toss this back in the oven and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so it is out of the oven and cured. You could tell it's a bit shiny because I used my satin varnish. The actual cure on the paint though is a totally matte finish. There is absolutely no like lift up or, you know, anything weird going on with the paint underneath. So yeah, it went basically exactly like I remembered it working for me. So I'm glad that that is still the case. But I am super excited to be able to share the test with you guys. Maybe you have also seen this going around lately, people using this, and you had questions about how to use it or if you actually can use it, if it actually works. And I will say 100% you can use it. You can use it in combination with your other heat set products you already have. You can use it by itself. It does work. As long as you get a good like artist grade oil paint. Winsor and Newton is an excellent brand. It is made specifically for like professional artists. They have good pigment and everything. It's a good, safe, trusted brand to use. I'll put the link of these ones that I bought. I can't remember the exact price, but like I said, they were like $35 or something, and I got them on Amazon. Each one of these tubes holds 0.4 ounces, so pretty much exactly the same as a small ½ ounce jar of paint. Not these tiny jars, but the ½ ounce jar size that you can get from almost all places that sell Reborn paint. All right, I hope that you guys found that helpful. Thank you so much. If you kept watching till now, if you like my videos and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, it helps me out. If you want full class style tutorials and other exclusive members only videos, definitely join the channel and become a member. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.